Nicole Guillaume with Guiding Echoes, and we are continuing our series on curses. In this video, we are going to go over a lot of different topics. We're going to talk about what is a curse, why do people cast curses in the first place, when are you most susceptible to curses, and of course, how can you prevent curses from coming into your energy field in the first place. And the reason I feel that it's important for you to be armed with this information is because when you understand curses, you can prevent yourself from sending them out. We're going to talk about that a little bit later because you may be thinking, I've never sent out a curse. I wouldn't do that. You might. We're going to talk about that later. And we're also, and I also feel like it's important because when you understand the energy of curses, you also know how to combat them, right? You know kind of how to keep that energy in check. So while it's definitely important to understand how light and love and good energy works, it's also important to have understanding or a certain amount of understanding of at least the darker stuff too. You don't need to get inundated into the darker stuff. I don't think that's healthy either. But having some form of awareness can be very helpful and can be very healthy. So let's go ahead and dive into the very first part of this topic, which is, what is a curse? What is it? So when I speak of a curse, I am talking about energy that has been sent to you with the intention to cause chaos. A curse is sent to somebody to cause harm, right? That is the main intent of a curse. Now, here's the interesting part. A lot of times when people think of a curse, they think that you have to go through some type of ritual in order to send this energy. So you may think of something like this, a voodoo doll, right? That's probably an image that pops into your head. Or when you think of a curse, something like this may pop into your head, a cauldron or maybe a witch nearby. And while a curse can definitely be sent to you through those methods, the truth is that a curse can be sent to you by pure thought and intention alone. So let's say you have a neighbor who is driving you crazy. Maybe she's throwing loud parties. Maybe she is having her friends come over all hours of the day and they're taking up your parking space. I mean, whatever it is, she is causing discomfort and havoc in your life. And when you go to speak to her, she doesn't seem to show any type of remorse whatsoever. She is not willing to work with you. In fact, maybe she becomes even more obnoxious. And this gets you really upset, right? And before you know it, all you can think about is how much she has upset you. And then you start thinking of what you can do to cause revenge. And then you start thinking of all the different things you wish would happen to her so that she would stop behaving this way, or you're thinking of all the bad things that would happen to her just because it makes you feel a little bit better, right? And as human beings, that's actually a very natural response. We get upset when people wrong us, and it's natural to sit there and think, man, I hope this person gets what they deserve. They are causing me so much stress, right? So that's natural. It becomes dangerous, however, when this becomes a point of obsession. Because when we become obsessed with this idea of harming someone, that starts to take energy. That energy starts to grow. And now before we know it, we have grown this energy bubble that needs to go somewhere. Where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go to that neighbor, right? Because she has been the focal point of all of the horrible things that we've been thinking. And so over time, all of these thoughts and intention. And when I talk about the intention too and the energy, we're also talking about the emotions that you are charging this intention with. So all of this starts to form this energy circle, this energy bubble, and it has to go somewhere. And if you have already put a face and a name to the place that you want this energy to go, that's where it's going to go. So you may have unintentionally sent curses to someone before. I think a lot of us have. And this may have happened during a time when you didn't understand energy very well, so you didn't really know what you were doing. And sometimes what we say when we see someone doing something that's bothering us, we'll say, well, karma's going to get them. I hope karma pays that bitch a lesson, right? That's how we think sometimes. And so what will happen is we will start to see this person go through an intensely tough time. And instead of taking credit for it ourselves, because we don't understand that we sent them the curse that's causing all this havoc in our life, we're like, karma finally got her. That's karma at work. We need to be careful with that, because in every ancient culture that believes in magic or some form of energy healing, or energy in general, there is a belief that what you send out comes back to you. So if you have sent out intentional harmful energy to someone, then there's a possibility that's going to slingshot right back to you. Maybe not in this lifetime, but it will definitely come back to you in the next lifetime. In the Bible, they talk about how what you send out comes back to you sevenfold. And in Wicca and other pagan circles, they believe in the power of 3 times 3. So what you send out comes back to you by the power of 3 times 3. So it's interesting because that would be the number 9, and of course in the Bible we have the number 7, and both numbers can indicate a number of completion, meaning that the energy is incomplete until it gets back to you. So that's a scary thought. So the energy that you send out to the world or to a specific person isn't complete until it's done its job with them and then comes back to you. So keep that in mind. The other way that people send curses, in a form that I would say is even more intentional, is of course through rituals like what we talked about earlier. But people can also send curses through methods of prayer. Yeah, people will actually pray to the gods or goddesses that they believe in, and they will ask for them to do terrible things to you. And depending on what god or goddess they're praying to, that god or goddess may answer that prayer. It's kind of scary. So yeah, there are malicious forces out there, and we need to be cognitive of that. So people can send you bad energy via prayer or even meditation and visualization. So it is a conscious effort to send you bad energy, bad mojo. So yes, that can be a little scary, right? So that is what a curse is. That's how curses can get started. And a curse that is sent intentionally, or a curse that is sent unintentionally, can be just as harmful as one that is sent intentionally. And when I say that, I'm really meaning the difference between sitting there and saying, I'm going to perform this ritual to cause harm to this person, versus you just thinking all these terrible thoughts of all the terrible things you want done to that person. So one's intentional, one's unintentional, but both of them still have this underlying factor of wanting someone to be in a world of hurt, right? And as light workers and energy workers, none of us want to admit that that's how we feel sometimes. But when someone upsets us, because, anger is very much a human emotion, it's easy for us to go along that path where we do wish harm upon someone, where we get really upset. And that comes from feelings of hurt. And that leads us into our second topic, which is, why do people send curses in the first place? There really seems to be only 2 reasons that people cast curses. One is revenge. That's probably the most common of the 2. They feel that you have done something wrong, and they want to make sure that you don't get away with it. And so they will pray to whatever god or goddess they believe in. They will perform a ritual. They will sit there and they will visualize terrible things happening to you, and they will send that energy to you because they need to make sure that you do not get away with whatever horrible thing it is that you did. The unfortunate thing is that sometimes you may not have done anything. You may not have done anything, but the person has imagined some type of terrible offense that you've committed against them or a family member. And I have seen this actually happen a lot. In fact, I have family members and some, ex-friends who have accused me of things that I'm not guilty of. They just come up with these stories in their heads and they believe them. And before you know it, they're upset with you for this crime you never committed. It's a very bizarre thing, but it happens with people who are narcissistic, or people who just always have to play the victim. People who always have to play the victim always need to have a monster or a villain in their story. And sometimes that monster or villain is you, right? It's you. You may not have done anything wrong to them, but because their self-worth lies on this sort of sympathetic pity energy that they get from other people, they need to have the villain. Who better than you? And sometimes they convince themselves that you really are this villain, that you really did do this terrible thing. And so they send you this terrible energy because they need to make sure that you don't get away with whatever crime they've imagined in their heads. It's really kind of creepy. So that's one reason people may send energy. The second reason is jealousy. Jealousy. So while the first is revenge, the second is jealousy. So let's say that you have a friend who is extremely jealous of your loving relationship, of your kids, of your home, of your business. Let's say that you just have a lot of great things going on for you in this season of life. And you have a friend who smiles at your face and tries to make it seem like she's happy for you, but really, behind closed doors, she's furious. She can't stand the fact that you have all these wonderful things and she does not. So what does she do? She sends a curse. Yeah. So it's really unfortunate that this happens. It's unfortunate that any curse energy happens at all. But it's really unfortunate when it's jealousy related, because that comes from someone who you think is a friend, usually. But sometimes there's other women out there who are just jealous bitches, and you already know that your frenemies are enemies, right? But they may do the same thing. They may get jealous because you got the promotion at work that they felt that they deserved. A hot guy shows interest in you and doesn't show interest in them. There's a lot of reasons for people to get jealous of one another. And sometimes it just, a person will allow their jealousy to push them too far, and before they know it, they're looking for a way to sabotage you because they cannot stand the fact that you have some level of success or some level of safety or security or acknowledgement or fame or money or whatever it is that they don't have. So those are the two main reasons people will cast curses. Okay, so let's talk about when you are most susceptible to curses. This is a really interesting topic. So there are going to be times when people will send you curse energy and it's just going to bounce off of you. Like it's just going to, it's not even going to make its way to you. It's not even going to make a dent. And those are the times when life is actually doing pretty good. So, earlier we talked about this person who sends you curse energy because they're jealous of you. Well, if you are in an environment where you feel safe, if you do have a good community, good friends, you have a good relationship with the spirit world, life is doing pretty good for you, your energy and your vibration is going to be elevated during those seasons of life because things are going good. It's when your energy is down that curse energy can make its way into you and start causing havoc in your life. So the times when you are most susceptible to curse energy is going to be during times of big transitions. And these could even be good transitions. It can be after you got married, after you purchased a home, after you had a baby, because even with positive transitions, there's still a level of fear because there's this huge change that has taken place in your life. And whenever a huge change happens for us, there is that level of insecurity because we don't know how things are going to play out. So while getting married is a wonderful thing, and it's definitely a cause for celebration, it's also a huge change in your lifestyle because now you have somebody who you have to share your expenses with, your finances with. If you were used to doing everything on your own and you were used to having what you want when you wanted it, well, now you have this other person in your life that you have to be mindful of. And now you are in a situation where there can be, where you can't always get what you want all the time. So now you have to learn how to compromise. Now you have to learn how to share your space with someone. And while these are good things, they can also be very frustrating. And in the beginning of relationships, this can be a very delicate situation for a lot of people. And so when you're going through this big life change, of course, that comes with frustrations and insecurities, it starts to bring your energy down because you start to feel as if you lost your footing, and you start to doubt, or you start to wonder if you made the right choice in marrying this person. And you start to wonder if you guys are making the right financial decisions together. So now there's all these different things that are on your mind, and it causes confusion and chaos. And in that, that's when kind of the door opens for this curse energy to rush into you. And that is when you are most susceptible to a curse. So you are also more susceptible to a curse just when you are constantly fatigued, if you have been going through a devastating life challenge, not just happy ones. So like let's say someone that you're very close to has died and you're in a state of mourning. Curse energy can come in there and kick you while you're down. It's a very unfortunate thing, because when you're already down, your defense is lower, right? Your energy lowers. And so you are more susceptible to all energy, good, bad, or neutral. And so if you have someone in your life who has sent you curse energy, they may decide to send it to you at a time when you're already low. Think of it as an abusive relationship. One of the things that abusers do is they try to get their victims in a position where they feel isolated, right? They try to cut them off from their families and from their friends and even from the activities and events that make them feel good. Well, that's when they're able to have more control over somebody, is when they have been isolated from the rest of the world. Curse energy works in much the same way. So if you're in a position where you are kind of shutting yourself down from other people because maybe you just need your space, or maybe you're depressed, or whatever the case is, curse energy is going to come in there and start wreaking havoc on your life. So now you're asking, how do I prevent this from happening? Because the truth is, we can't keep our vibration and our energy up all the time. That's unrealistic. Life isn't like that. We can't be happy-go-lucky all the time. It'd be great if we could, right? It'd be wonderful. But the truth is, life happens. And terrible things happen sometimes that knock us off of our game. And when we are down, that is when we are most vulnerable and susceptible to any type of energy. Any type of energy. So it's really unfortunate when the bad energy gets in there. So prevention tips are to continue to build your relationship with the spirit world. And when I say with the spirit world, I'm really speaking of God, goddesses, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever your faith is strong in, that's what you want to start throwing your weight behind. So whatever books lift you up, whatever communities or circles help you to feel secure, you need to get involved in those, okay? I have found that negative energy and curse energy has a harder time getting to us when we are in good, solid communities, because there is strength in numbers. And the wonderful thing about spiritual communities is that when one member is weak, there's several others that can come behind and offer their strength. So get yourself in a good spiritual community. And if you don't have access to a spiritual community in your area, go online. There are several online spiritual communities. You know, if you know that someone has sent you energy, or you've just noticed that all of this stuff is going haywire in your life, it's nice to have those people that can support you, that can pray for you, that can ward off that energy and balance your chakras and clear out the blocks for you. Right? And so that's where a community is very, very important. The other ways that you can protect yourself from curse energy is looking into the different type of cleansing tools that are out there for your environment, because before a curse can really get into your spirit, I want to say, well, aura is probably a better way of saying it. Before it can get into your aura, it does have to penetrate your environment. So for example, if there is a curse that's trying to get to me right now, it has to get through the walls of this room. It has to get through this environment to be able to get into my aura. And so, what I would do to prevent curse energy is I may get some sea salt and pray over the sea salt and put it in the corners of the room. I would also put it in the corners of the window. I might get some frankincense oil or olive oil and anoint the walls of the room. You can also burn sage. You can have a diffuser going with essential oils going out into the room. So there's actually a lot of different things that you can do to keep the energy of your room, of your home, even of your car cleansed, right? We need to keep the energy around us as positive as possible and as clean as possible, because that's going to prevent the bad energy from coming in and taking root into us. So I know this sounds like a lot of work, but the truth is you can make all of this some type of a habit. Just like you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, or you get up in the morning and you take a shower, right? That's a habit. So if you start making it a habit to get your essential oils and put them in a diffuser first thing in the morning and last thing at night to clear the energy, that's actually a pretty simple ritual. Or maybe you make it your ritual or habit to pray over your room and pray over yourselves and pray over your kids, and you ask your angels to come forward and stand in the gap for you. That's also a form of a ritual or a habit. So once you get into the habit of doing these certain things, keeping your energy clear is actually pretty simple. So there you go, guys. Those are the different things that you should know about curses so you can stay safe and ward off that terrible energy before it makes its way to you. In the next video, I will be talking about generational curses and how to break them through scientific breakthroughs. Yeah, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's fascinating information I've experienced for myself, and I can't wait to share that information with you. So if you have found this video helpful, please remember to give it a like and subscribe to this channel so you can be notified when I release new videos in the future. Also, if you'd like an intuitive session with me, please visit my website at guidingechoes.com. I offer tarot card readings, angel readings, psychic mediumship readings, and I also am a Reiki master, and so I can send you some good mojo as well. So you can find my list of services at guidingechoes.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Namaste.